Good day. Welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Yesterday, we examined how something like mindfulness of our breaths, how it can be simple, but as we put it yesterday, it's not easy. I want to know, did you try that 5-minute exercise which I recommended? And if you did, how did it go? Remember, the goal here is, as they say in the 12-step program of addiction recovery, the goal is progress, not perfection. But what exactly is the progress we're seeking? When we begin to step back from our mind's tendency to chatter constantly, whether we're worrying about the future or regretting something that's happened in the past, when we're able to step back from that, that progress that we're talking about is actually quite significant. You think about it for just a second, to not be only ever identified with our cognitive, our mental processes, to not be fully identified with that is a huge achievement. It opens up the possibility, practically speaking, of dealing with stress. And we're surely all in that right now with the virus pandemic and quarantine. So it opens up the possibility for dealing with stress by experiencing stress for what it is, but with a less of a tendency to move into what we've been talking about here more recently as catastrophizing. This is where we create one awful scenario after another in our brains. And the worst of it with catastrophizing is sometimes those predictions we make actually transform over time into self-fulfilling prophecies. So how do we break that? How do we break that? I'm going to give you a homework assignment today. I want you to join me today, the next 24 hours. I want you to start by sitting down quietly, just for 5 minutes, but I want to try a new wrinkle with what we've been working on the last few podcasts here. I want you to see if you can hold in mind something that right now does in fact stress you out. I want you to find something, this shouldn't be hard to do, find something that's stressing you out. Holding that thought in your mind, it's a current stressor. I next want you to try an experiment here to see if you can find any space behind or underneath that thought, uh, uh, just by simply focusing on your breathing. So here's how it goes. Start by breathing. So sit down, start by breathing, just focusing on the natural rising and falling of your breath. Then introduce into your mind the stressful thought, something that you're worried about, for example. But this time I want you to try something different. I want you to gently take that stressful thought and set it on an imaginary shelf in your mind. Then I want you to bring your attention back to your breath. I want you to repeat this process for 5 minutes. What I want you to see is what insights come from this process where we're talking about you observing a stressful thought. You're actually coming up with it, observing a stressful thought, setting it aside and bringing yourself back to the anchor in your own breath, which can only, your awareness of that can only be in the present moment. So we're moving from worries about the future, regrets about the past, to focusing on the present moment, and your breathing becomes an anchor for that. And I want you to try this and see what awarenesses, what insights arise from you, for you in this simple act of observing rather than identifying with any given stressful thought. That's it for today. Thank you. Give it a shot. We'll check back with you tomorrow. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Take good care.